kids, Mike coming at you with another Planet Zoo Console Edition video. Welcome back to Eden Garden Zoological Park, and welcome to episode 20. Can you believe it? Episode 20 already. It only feels like yesterday we were placing some rocks going above the wolf enclosure. Heck, it only feels like yesterday I was making speculation videos to see if Planet Zoo would ever even come to the console or not. And here we are, 20 episodes into this series. Can't believe it. If you have watched the entire series so far, thank you ever so much. But for today's episode, we are going to finish this enclosure. This has been by far the most difficult and time-consuming jobs I have done on the game yet, and it's taken probably around 16 to 17 hours just to do this one enclosure alone. You all said that you like time lapses, so we are going to push that to the absolute limit today, as we have got a lot. So without further ado, let's hop into the zoo, shall we? Right, so here we are back in the zoo once again, and in between episodes I haven't really done a lot. I wanted to do the vast majority of this on camera so you can see how it all comes together. The only thing that I have done is I have finished all of the entranceway. So we have the Eden River Canal. So we've got these glass sections here where you will be able to look into each side of the enclosure. So on this right hand side, you can look through into the water section. And then on the left hand side, you will be able to see into the land area, which we will be tackling today. So we need to do all of that land area, we need to do all of this bridge, we need to do all of the queue line for the boat ride, and we need to do the actual boat station itself. We have got so much to do. And if I'm being completely honest, it's a little bit overwhelming. As we go through this video, you will see I jump from one thing to another. It's slightly irritating watching it back. It annoys me, don't worry. But the first thing we are going to do is we are going to start decorating around the back of the enclosure. But any of these strange people that would be on the train that felt like looking right, why would you look right? You've got a beautiful enclosure on your left hand side. Why would you be looking right? But for any strange people that would be, it's still a little bit barren back here. We've only got a little bit of grass. So we need to decorate all of this up a little bit more using some trees, using some more foliage for them strange individuals that did decide to look right. I think the first thing I'm going to do is start trying to cover up this queue line. This is probably the most difficult area of this entire build. Just the way it all comes out at a really peculiar angle. We need to try and hide this effectively, and it's not going to be easy. I want to give a very special thank you to Plastic Swans, who actually jumped into the chat and had a look and gave me some ideas for what to do with this enclosure. If you're not familiar with Plastic Swan, she is an absolutely amazing Planet Zoo content creator. You really should go and check out her channel. And as we were talking, we've actually started spitballing a collab project that we could do further down the line. I think we might do a him versus her zoo, where she has one half of the zoo and I have the other half, so look forward to that at some point in the future. Because of the shape of this build, I can't really utilise building on a grid. I'm having to do the vast majority of this off grid and then move all of the individual pieces just to get them curved around. It was really frustrating. And now going back to my favourite thing in the game, was that sarcasm? Yes it was. Covering up all of these stairs using these dry stone wall pieces. I think to save us some time, we can just copy over the steps that we did leading up to the bridge over this side. And now going down the side of the stairs, we'll just hide the edges once again using these dry stone wall pieces. Now we need to start thinking about covering up this entire bridge. So using this clay tiled roof, we're going to come down here. It didn't line up properly and it was quite tricky to get this exactly lined up perfectly. By dropping the roof down, I was able to then use the wall and line it up with the lines of the roof itself to ensure that this was perfectly straight. Get ready to see this East Asian stone support in this build a lot. As I was building, I discovered this piece and I was like, that would be perfect in this build to use as a trim going around the entire build. I think the roof is a little tiny bit too low and it would feel a little bit claustrophobic inside there, so I think we will actually raise that ever so slightly. I really don't like the roof at the moment how it is, so I'm going to use some of these timber pieces and come down all the way covering that entire roof. Because we've got a lot of monotone brown on that roof covering, I think we'll use one of the East Asian wooden beams, one of these red ones going down the centre and down the side, just to break up that monotone a little bit. And then using these wall lights going down the centre but raising them up to hide the supports, we can have some lights coming down the centre to add even more colour to this build. Now comes what is probably the hardest part of this bridge build. It's easy to put the window together, but to get it all lined up perfectly was a real challenge. This was about the third attempt at this I'd done, as every time I tried to copy it, it wouldn't line up properly. So using one of these glass panes, we're then going to use some of the timber once again. Timber! Does anybody else think that every time I say that? Timber! No, just me? Okay. We're going to use some of these timber pieces to do a custom window. Using these stone supports once again, we'll put this at the bottom of the window and the top of the window, just to create a little bit of a lip just on the inside there. And with our first window now done, hopefully this will copy over in a straight line, unlike the previous two attempts, which it does, thank goodness. Now we'll just go around using these stone supports as a trimming for the building. Using some of the same stone supports once again, but the thinner versions, will just come below the windows just to break up some of that wall texture slightly. And now we can copy the windows over to the opposite side. We've got this little tiny area here where the path is sticking up with a bit of wood. To try and combat this, I'm going to use one of the roof tile pieces, and then we'll block all of this off using some fencing, and then we'll just put a couple of decorative items in there to make this a little bit of a set piece. By using some of these barrier curbs, it will prevent the guests from walking through there and clipping through that fence, which they're currently doing right now. That was a little bit disconcerting, zooming into that man's face. That was a bit bizarre. Just ignore that. The guests are screaming for more seating in this zoo, so we'll put some seating coming down the centre of the bridge right here, and then we'll also add some more bins in, because we are lacking for bins in this zoo currently. So if we use one of these East Asian bins, is it just me, or does that look like a planter? I think we might use it as such. Let's use this as a bin stroke planter, and then it will hide the fact that we've got bins right in the centre, and it will add even more colour to this bridge. We're just going to come down the sides using this desert rock cladding just to give it even more texture and even more colour inside here. To add even more colour to the bridge, we'll add 4 more bins to the edges and use these as planters once again, but this time we'll use a different plant and we'll use some of these elephant ear plants. What a strange name, I love that name, elephant ear plants, that's so cool. And now I think we'll jump back to where the queue line and the boat ride is. I did pre-warn you that I jump around a lot. I get so sidetracked as I'm doing one thing. I'll be in the middle of one job, get bored, and then think I'll go and do that bit, and then I'll go back to it again later on. I'm awful, but we do need to get this finished. So once again, we're using the dry stone wall pieces. We'll cover up the ramp and then go down the sides, covering that up also. I hope that staff member doesn't step back right now, because if he does, he's going to fall onto the railway track. Don't step back, don't do it. I'll put a fence there to protect him in a moment, don't worry. And now if we hide all of these stairs, we just need to put something in the centre right here. If I'm being completely honest here, this is very much like a lot of the last builds I've done in previous episodes, where when I was building it, I wasn't 100% sure if I liked how it was coming along. As we go through the video, you will see me constantly zooming out, having a look, just to see if I liked or not. But I think the next thing we need to do is we need to start doing this boat ride station. So we'll cover up all of the floor and then go around the edges, just covering all of this up. With one half of the station now done, now we can just copy this over and bring it over to the other side, to save us having to redo it once again. There is a little tiny bit of a gap just at the side there, so we do need to address this and just bring it across to ensure there's no gaps. Because I love doing roofing so much, I'm going to do it for a second time in this video. Spoiler alert, I absolutely hate doing roofs. They're an absolute pain and I do not excel at them at all. To give this build a little bit of a different look and texture, I'm going to use some of the New World pieces as the top of the roofing just there. And we're going to use some of these East Asian columns as a support for this roof. And then we need to go around the entire thing, adding some fencing afterwards to ensure the guests don't lemmings and jump off the side. I don't know why, but this piece would not align to the surface properly. I had the move snap feature on and it wouldn't snap to the top of the roofs. It drove me insane. I was getting so frustrated. So I had to actually manually go through and add them all freehand. I do like the station build right now, but it needs something else. And I think what we'll do is we'll remove them 2 back fence pieces, and then we'll take one of the windows from the bridge. We'll copy that over here, but we'll make it unique and change it all up to give it a different look to this build. It doesn't all line up properly, so we're just having to grab all of the individual pieces and adjust them to make sure that it's all centralized. I think this is the perfect piece to add, and I think it will give the station an entire new look and feel to it. I really like that. Before moving on to the queue line, we do need to finish off decorating the other side of the station where the guests won't be able to access. So I'm going to use some of these sculptures that I used around the actual enclosure itself and put these on the station. I really like the choice of Asian pieces that we've got right now, but there isn't a lot of them. I would really like some more East Asian themed pieces, so I can't wait for some of the future DLCs where we will be able to have some more. Right now we've only got a couple of vases, some wicker baskets. There isn't really a lot, but I cannot wait for the future when we will have access to all of them. With the boat station now done, now we can start roping off this queue line. So using some of these timber pieces, I think we'll use some rope in the centre of them, as I haven't used rope in the zoo so far. With the queue line now all sectioned off, now we need to think about tackling this centre piece right here. I think we'll use some of these picnic canopies. We'll use 2 of them going down the centre, and then I think we'll use the planter piece that we used going around the platypus enclosure. That was a lot of peas in quick succession. I'm really impressed that I said that first time. But we're going to go down the centre here and then put some stones, put some foliage in there. But before we do that, we do need to section this off. So we'll use some of the stone supports, once again just going all the way around the outside, and then we'll add some rocks, some foliage, and I think we may even add some education inside here. we've got some of the little bits sticking through underneath here, and because I can't be bothered to go back and change and use some of these smaller pieces to make sure that they fit properly, I'm just going to hide it. Let's use some of these small nettles right there. No one will ever notice. It's fine. You didn't see a thing, trust me. Because the boat ride is predominantly to see the hippos only, we'll use the education boards and put hippos on there, as we currently don't have any education for the hippos in the zoo. I think what I also might do is put some speakers on the central island, so the guests on the boat ride are constantly getting educated about the hippos. By the time you get off that boat ride, you will be so educated about hippos, you will know everything there is to know about them. I'm just bringing some of these stone concrete pieces over here to try and make the entire build all coherent and cohesive and make it match up with the actual enclosure itself. Before we move on to finishing the other side of the enclosure, we just need to finalise this build by putting some more foliage, using predominantly ivy and vine pieces going around to give it all a decrepit and run-down look and make it blend into the entire environment. And with the one side done, we just need to finish off on the other side. We'll put some of these hanging vines coming down. I'm hoping that the binturongs and the sun bears won't be able to climb these, but we'll just have to see once we get into the actual enclosure, once the animals have been added. How's everyone feeling? That was a long time lapse. That was the longest time lapse of the series so far. So let's slow things down a little bit and let's have a look at what we have done so far. So we've still got more work to do in this episode. At this point, normally, the episode would be coming to an end, but this is a super long episode. It's the longest episode of the series so far. It may as well just be 2 episodes combined into one. But let's take stock of where we are right now all of the bridge is done, with all of the foliage going around it. I really do think it's taking shape. It's a lot of work that has gone into this. Probably so far around, I want to say around 13 to 14 hours so far, give or take, that has gone into this one build alone, but I do think it's worth it at the moment. I'm really looking forward to get that side done now. I'm a little bit nervous approaching it because I haven't got anything in mind. I'm not sure what I'm going to do in there to start off with. But let's walk over the bridge so you'll be able to look right down into the water section of the enclosure, and then of course you would be able to look left into the other half of the enclosure. They're going to have so much room inside here. And then as we look down, is there a train coming? No, that's unfortunate. I would love to have seen a train come underneath as we were here. We may have to just loiter a little bit in the hopes that we can coax one of the trains to come over. So we've got the little set piece area just there, and you've got the boat ride exit, and then as you walk down the queue line, you'd be able to look left into the enclosure. We've got a little bit of a frame rate issue there, a little bit of a lag spike. That was a little bit bizarre. And then you come down here, down onto the boat station itself. Unfortunately, we haven't got many people coming to the boat ride, which is very unfortunate. I'm hoping that once the new animals are in this enclosure, that will address the problem and this boat ride will get a lot busier. Now, I think I can hear a train. Can we see it? Oh, there it is. Look, it's just coming right now. Oh, brilliant. This is just what I wanted. I really wanted to be able to see a train come past as we were stood here. Is it just me, or does it look like Percy from Thomas the Tank? I'd never thought that before. Of course, this train has been green for quite a while, but at no point did I think it looked like Percy. Is it really sad that I could actually name all of the Thomas the Tank trains from 1 to 10 in order? Is that really sad? I used to really love Thomas the Tank as a kid. And I know you're all sat there now wondering, Matty, can you actually do that? Prove it. Thomas, Edward, Henry, Gordon, James, Percy, Toby, Duck, Donald, Douglas. Is that really sad? I'm so sorry. How did we end up on that? We got so sidetracked. That was deviating massively from what we were doing. Anyway, let's go back to this build and have a look at it, and let's not all laugh at how sad Matty is, shall we? So I love how the train comes underneath there, and this is what we still need to do in this episode. We've still got quite a bit more work to do. I've started just by the glass there. I put a little bit of water in, I put some stones coming across, but we now need to start decorating all of this half of the enclosure. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some of these rocks, I'm going to bring them into the enclosure, and then we'll pull some of the terrain up coming over the top of that. I really want to have lots of different types of elevation inside this enclosure. To ensure that it doesn't look like I've just copied and pasted this little section of wall over here, we're going to tilt some of it down, we'll pivot some of them around, just to make it all look different. And now we're going to go around the entire area using the roughen feature. We will need to make sure that we go around afterwards and then smooth it all back out again. Now we can start adding some more rocks and foliage into here. I really want to make this look like a vibrant rainforest, with the sun bears and the binter rocks coming from Southeast Asian rainforests. That is my intention for this enclosure. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to pull it off or not, because I've never really attempted any kind of rainforest in the game so far. Using this dynamic mossy rock piece, that's a mouthful and a half. How have I never used this piece before? This rock is absolutely amazing. I wish I'd been using this before, but this is absolutely amazing. I love that piece. I'm just trying to find the other type of mossy rock, the one that's got flowers on the top, but I can't actually find it. It may be in the actual foliage bit as opposed to the rock section. But I'm just going to place some of these bald cypress pieces going around once again. As I said in the last episode, I absolutely love this piece so much. Yes, it is definitely my favourite piece in the game. I'm using a lot of pieces for the first time in this enclosure. I'd also never used these bamboo pieces before, but for a Southeast Asian rainforest, I think it's essential. I really like this bracken piece as well. I think going around the area, this is also becoming one of my favourite foliage pieces, along with the nettles and the bull cypress pieces. I think these items give a real different look to it. I really do like them. But we're going to use some of this rock blueprint that I'd made. Despite the fact that I probably can't see around 3/4 of it, it's an absolutely ridiculous piece count given the fact that I can't see half of it. I'm going to go along the water's edge, just adding a different texture going along there. I'm probably going to have to come back at a later point and delete all of the pieces that you can't see under the floor. And it turned out the rock pieces with the flowers on were in the foliage bit instead of the rock section. So I'm just going to go around adding some of these. The cherry blossom trees are an absolute must for this enclosure. I have been so excited to use these in the zoo, and this exhibit would be the perfect chance to use them for the very first time. I've just had the realisation that both the binturongs and the sun bears both have climbing requirements. So that is going to be something that we are going to have to think about, as I don't think I've given them any real climbing area inside this enclosure. We may have to try and do something in between the trees or something just to give them that climbing requirement that they need. We're now going to start trying to add some of the climbing. I looked at that bridge, but I didn't like it. I really do like that, and I think that blends into the area perfectly. And then if we maybe just grab one of the climbing frames just there, going over the rocks, and I think that's really tactfully added, and you can barely see it. Now going around adding some of the buffalo dry grass. I do this in all of the enclosures, but because of the amount of terrain that has been done in this enclosure, it's a lot more difficult than all of the others, and I had to align it to the surface and then drop it down. Finally, we just need to address where these staff are going to be coming in. Let's all pretend, shall we, that I didn't completely forget about the fact that I've got this entire open area here, and we're going to need to fence all of this in. We're also going to need to add a water heater and a water cleaner over here, because the existing ones that we have in the zoo right now unfortunately don't reach this half of the enclosure. Thankfully, they do reach the water side, but not this land side. And with us having some water on this side, we're going to need to ensure that we put both of them in, otherwise the animals are going to get sick as soon as they get added. That's it. You can all breathe a sigh of relief. For today's building, we are actually finished. Now we can finally add these animals into this enclosure. We didn't add any animals in the last episode, so we're going to make up for it this one by adding 2. I've already got a female sun bear. I've been adding her sporadically throughout the build just to ensure that she wasn't able to escape. So let's grab the male as well. We also need to grab the binturongs. So how many of you guys can we have? They don't need much land, do they? And we can have 3 of them, so I think we'll grab all 3. We'll grab both females and a male. You may have noticed that there were some tortoises in the trade centre. I think this is going to be something that we're going to need to have a look at in the next episode, because the frame rate has certainly started dipping in this zoo. The lag has started getting a little bit worse, so I think in the next episode we will finally look at adjusting some of the settings, turning off some of the requirements, look at reducing some of the animals that we have in the zoo to try and combat that and try and address the lag problems. We do need to ensure that this enclosure is in a work zone, so let's make sure we do that. I forgot to add the boat ride, so let's do that to make sure that the boat ride gets serviced. And I think it makes sense to add this to the elephant work zone, as currently that only has that one enclosure. We may need to hire some more staff, but we'll look at that in the next episode. Let's have a look at the first animal that's coming in. I assume this will be a sun bear. Oh, look at it. Oh, it's so small. That's a lot smaller than I expected. And the welfare is currently on 64%. That is not too bad at all. Right. I need to address that right there because I don't think the border goes out far enough. But other than that, I don't think you can escape anywhere. That's absolutely fantastic. The terrain does need adjusting a little bit, but to be honest, I'm actually quite happy with the terrain how it is right now. So I think we will leave that. But first things first, let's address this. We'll make sure the game is paused. And let's come around here and use the null barriers coming around, and let's fix this so it doesn't look like they can escape. Why is that blocked? Hopefully... right, because we've got a node right on the opposite side of the door. That would be the problem. It still won't connect. Is it too close to them? Power sources, maybe. Nope, we've got another node hidden in the wall there. Right, come on, fingers crossed. There we go. I was panicking that it was just too close to them items, but thankfully it wasn't. It doesn't matter if we come out a little bit further. That is absolutely fine. We'll reduce the length of that, and I believe there is a node just inside there to connect to. Right there, and that should hopefully have fixed the problem. Let's have a quick look. They are so cute. And your traversable area, you can no longer escape anywhere. Fantastic. Oh, look, we've got one on the climbing frame already. Straight onto that climbing frame. The terrain is only on 50%. You need a little bit more climbing. So that might be something we'll have to look at addressing. We can always add a little bit more climbing. That's fine. We'll just put that education board to the sun bears. And here come the binturongs, which I've never seen before. I've got no idea what these guys look like. Oh, look at them. Oh, they're actually really cute. They almost remind me like of maybe even a bigger otter or something, or like a ferret or a weasel, just a bigger one. Can they not swim? Is that why it's blocked off right there? Maybe. They mustn't be able to swim. They can climb up the side of the vine there, but they can't escape. And they can't climb up there, and you can't actually escape anywhere. You guys also need a little bit more climbing. But first thing, let's add some of your enrichment items down, shall we? So what have we got? Let's add one of these boxes, I think. Oh, we've got a ball. I think we'll add one of the... We've already got one of the food balls in, because I did that off camera. So let's drop one of the boxes right there. And we'll add a rubbing pad, I think, up next to this tree over here. Is this going to affect the terrain too much if we pop that there? Let's just have a quick look. Oh my days, yes it does. That was awful. I did not like that at all. Let's address that. Maybe if we put it up against the wall over here. I think that would actually look quite good. Hopefully it doesn't affect the terrain too much. Let's try that there. So it did affect the terrain, but not too heavily. I can live with that. And their enrichment is now 100%. Fantastic. So you guys should be extremely happy. 89% welfare. And we will add a little bit more climbing for you. So don't worry, that will increase it even more. So yeah, fantastic. Let's have a look at the sun bears. Did that affect your enrichment? No, it didn't. You guys need completely different things. So let's add your enrichment items in instead, shall we? So what have we got for you guys? So we've got one of the bamboo feeders. I think we'll just drop one of them over here. Let's make sure that the node is hidden below the floor. And we've got the block of frozen fish. We'll put that just underneath there. And that is your food enrichment done. So we just need some more toy enrichment. We'll put one of the chew toys on the rocks over there, so you can go swimming and then climb up onto the rock. And then what else can we use? We'll use one of these rubbing pillars. And if we put that just over here, then the guests will be able to look through the glass and be able to see the bears just rubbing up against that. Yeah, perfect. Just there. So hopefully you guys are now really happy as well. Let's have a look. 87%, 92%, 92% welfare. Not going to argue with that at all. And you can access everything around there. Brilliant. that actually went a lot easier than I thought. Oh, we've got a hole in the wall there. We need to address that. I just saw a keeper running past with one of the animals in a box. As always, I forgot to put them into the quarantine before putting them into the zoo. I always do that. I always think to myself when I get new animals, remember to put them in quarantine before putting them in. I always forget, then put them in, and it turns out they were sick. But anyway, let's just block off that hole right there. We also need to move this cherry blossom tree as it's clipping through the wall. There you go. That's a little bit better. And there we go. That went a lot easier than I expected. I thought with having 2 animals in there and with the amount of foliage and potential climbable areas where they could escape, I expected that to be a lot more challenging than what it was. I didn't check to see if you guys could escape after adjusting some things, did I? No, you still can't escape anywhere. Oh, that is fantastic. And you just mustn't be able to swim. Maybe that's why they can't access the water. But let's have a quick look around now we've done all of this. It's been such a big project, this. As I said, it's been the longest and most difficult thing I've done in the zoo so far, but I think this is my favourite thing that I've done yet. I really like how this has all come together. I think it's really in-fitting for the animals' needs. I really, really do like this. Hopefully you guys all like this as well. There's still a little bit more to do. I'm noticing a couple of little things that I can adjust and change up just before I call this final complete. There you go. The Binturong has been brought back again. Hopefully now he's all back healthy and repaired again. We've got a couple of staff alerts. Apparently the keeper can't access the food right there. I don't believe that. We'll chalk that up to a small bug, I think. But just before we end the episode, we do have a very special surprise straight away. We've got a baby bear instantly. I swear no time at all went past and the bear's bred instantly, and we've got this little baby bear. Look how cute it is. He is so cute. I love him so much. But we do need to have a look to see if you can escape or not. So let's click on you. And for some unknown reason, I had a complete and utter brain fart, brain malfunction here. For some reason, I couldn't work out how to get onto the heat maps. And I'm like, what is going on? And I thought the game had glitched out. No, it was my brain glitching out. But there we go. Sometimes the babies can escape when the adults can't. So I just did need to make sure with you, but you can't escape either. We've got the Binturong using the climbing frame. That's amazing to see. I will add some more climbing in there to ensure that they've got their full requirement. But yeah, I am really, really happy with how this has all come together. I really like that viewing area there where the guests can have a look through that left-hand side of the glass and have a look through. You guys are going to have to let me know down below what you guys all think. Apologies that it has taken 2 episodes to get this done, but hopefully you can appreciate the length and duration that it would have taken to have done this and the difficulties I encountered trying to do this enclosure. I think for the next episode, we will finally start tackling the chimps that I've been saying probably for about 6 episodes now that I was going to add them. But there we go. Hopefully you've enjoyed this one. I'm going to be back very, very soon. Until then, take care, stay safe, look after yourselves, and see you all very, very soon. Bye, everybody!